There he is.
Lamar Jackson, the fourth best quarterback in the league. Isaiah Likely extension, and some shows got canceled. All talked about on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Yes, welcome back to episode 320. Yes, 320 of the Purple Rain podcast, the Kim Herring and Ed Reed episode of the Purple podcast. Pretty confident those will be the two players that ever wear number 20 in Ravens franchise history. Pretty confident about that one. But thank you for coming through on this Monday edition of the Purple Rain podcast. It is July, but we have a little bit of news to talk about. So while you're here with us, you can both follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. This guy on Instagram or on X at SuttonDef. Me, Instagram simply as10.prod or on X at simplyAS10. And most importantly, our sponsor, Manscaped. Go on there, use code PRP, 20% off your whole entire order. Free international shipping, the best deal on the internet. It is Monday, so you know that I'm going to ask you, how are we feeling? How was our weekend?
Feeling good, Alex, for one, and then also the weekend was pretty good too. I actually got to relax this weekend, and I think
Oh,
that's what honestly made it good. It was super hot outside. It was either super hot or like super rainy, so like it was just
mhm.
perfect stay inside type of weather. So weekend was great, but I'm feeling good. We haven't talked in I think about a week. I want to say. On live, but this is kind of like the real calm before the storm. You know what I mean? Like early to mid July, like what's really going on, right? I think we have rookies reporting to training camp today and starting this week actually, and then of course the vets will come in the following week. But we're back basically. We're back basically. I mean, it's we're here. I mean, training camp is starting up soon and very soon, and there's going to be news everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So with that being said, I'm doing really really well, Alex. I want to see who's here in the live chat. If you're watching now live on YouTube, shout out to you. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel as well. This is the Purple Rain podcast channel, and you can expect a whole lot more content coming out from this channel, especially with the season right around the corner. So make sure you stay locked in to PRP by subscribing if you are new. And thank you so much for watching. Then we also have our X watchers as well. If you're watching on X, which we know a lot of you do, shout out to you. Hello. We appreciate y'all for coming through. Maybe come over to swing over to YouTube one day and hit that like button there as well. But nevertheless, we appreciate you. Let me see who's here in the live chat already, Alex. Let me see. We got Don Royal in the house. Shout out to him. Says NFL executive said Justin Herbert was the next John Elway. I did not hear
Oh,
that. Jeez, man. Okay, all right. Well, I mean, sounds good. What's going on, Don? We got Sam in the house. Says, "Hey guys, what's going on, Sam? Thank you for coming through."
uh,
And then we got Lisa in there as well. Says, "Hey Alex and Sutton, my birthday is coming up on Friday."
mm,
Okay, okay,
mm,
nice, nice,
eh,
nice. So you know what that means. You know what we do when it comes around Lisa's birthday. We
yeah, we
dedicate
know.
that Thursday episode or that Monday episode, whoever's closest to our girl Lisa Ann. So shout out to you, Lisa Ann, longtime watcher of the show, always coming out, always supporting, always showing love. So we got to show that love back. Thursday will definitely be dedicated to you, and happy early birthday. So let's go ahead and get into. I guess we can get into our first topic, right?
I
Let's
guess
let's
we
just
have
get
to.
into the meat and potatoes of this. And by the way, we know we're going live a little bit later than usual, guys, but we hope that you guys are still getting notified. Make sure you hit that little bell if you're on YouTube as well, so you get notified whenever we do actually end up going live. Because I have a feeling we may be doing. Well, I may be doing a live stream in the mornings. I might bring the Sutton in the mornings back once the season rolls
Uh-oh.
around. That should be a lot of fun. So make sure you hit that bell so you can always know when the Purple Rain podcast will be live. We'd appreciate that. But yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our Purple Rain report.
Yeah. And you see it right here. So, according to NFL execs, coaches, and scouts, their top 10 came out this week. ESPN, dropped the story, and it's right there for all of us to see. And it's kind of perfect timing because we had our not really top 10 ranking, but our top three, I'd say. And then, kind of just the quarterback, just ranking about, where they are level wise. And I feel like we did a pretty good job. When I look at this list, I think we got it, all of the guys we had in that A list or that S tier. So I'm pretty happy with how we did. You can see here, I'll go from 10 to 1. Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, Matt Stafford, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes. A lot to dissect here. So I'm going to ask you, what is the first thing I think that pops out? Is it Herbert 9? Is it Herbert above a Super Bowl winner and above a Goff who just led his team to 15-2? Is it Stafford at 6? When he's in year 13, 14, 15? Or is it Lamar at number 4?
I mean, for me on this one, I think, especially with this being a Ravens centric channel, I think the thing that jumps out to most of us watching right now, and me included, is Lamar Jackson not included in the top 3 of this list. You know, I have no problem with putting Patrick Mahomes number 1. I think having 3 Super Bowl rings, especially at this point in his career, is absolutely undeniable. Not to mention the fact that he is a still insane quarterback to watch play. I mean, when he's got some weapons, he's a weapon, and like I think that the offense has kind of waned for the Chiefs the past couple of years, and they still end up finding their way to Super Bowls, because of in part what he's able to do and how consistent he's able to be and limiting mistakes and still having that X factor ability. No problem with Mahomes at number 1. No problem with Josh Allen at number 2. To be honest with you, like if you want to put Josh Allen 2 or Lamar Jackson 2, I'm fine with that. Which leaves number 3. Mr. Joe Burrow. Okay. Now, let me just preface what I'm about to say next with this. I know that I've been a long time Burrow, how the kids say, glazer, I guess you can say, especially for a Ravens fan. I totally understand that. But Joe Burrow has no business. I don't care if the NFL executives are making the rankings. I don't care if it's Roger Goodell making the rankings. I don't care if I don't care. Joe Burrow has no business being above a Lamar Jackson, because if you ask me, what does Joe Burrow have that Lamar Jackson does not? There's a Super Bowl appearance, but outside of that, what is it? You mean like we're talking up you can bring up the stats. Like I think he had like 49, almost 5,000 passing yards last season. Joe Burrow did 40 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, had 178 more pass attempts than Lamar Jackson, who pretty much matched him in touchdowns with 40 plus. Right, and threw for 4,100 yards, and also ran an extra 920 something yards on top of that. Not to mention Lamar Jackson's team also made the playoffs. He was a big reason for them making the playoffs. So it just does not make any sense to me how you can look at Lamar Jackson's statistics, how you can look at, where his team ends up finishing by the end of the year, and how you can look at just using your eyes when you watch him on Sundays, how electric he is, how you have to be in front of the TV to watch this guy. I mean, he has literally everything. So I just don't understand how you can put a Joe Burrow in the top 3 and not a Lamar Jackson. To that, Alex, what do you have to say?
I'm right there with you. Back-to-back years missed playoffs. Lamar missed in 2021, was hurt. Lamar missed the ending of 2022. We still got to the playoffs. And that was from him putting us in such a good position. The first couple of games he was, healthy. I give you this. I have the article up. They say, I get the guy has 2 elite wideouts, but their run game was average and all line was not very good either. If we're going to use that to discredit a quarterback, I'm not going to feel sorry for the Ravens getting a Derrick Henry, because the Bengals let go of a Joe Mixon. They had that good running back. They chose to pay other guys. So I'm not going to feel sorry for the fact they don't have these things because one team built a roster better than the other. I don't think you can make a list without Lamar in your top 3, and I can take it serious. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions? Yeah. I'm not going to talk to MVP talk because it's a moot point. But to sit here and put him at 4 is unbelievable. I mean, I want to say it's rage bait. It might not be, but they say
it's
here
July content.
A 10-1 touchdown interception ratio and a winning percentage of almost 75%. And think about think about, no disrespect, some of them Greg Roman offenses wasn't that good. Wasn't that good, and still that high. Led the NFL in total QBR, yards per dropback, and new career highs in passing touchdowns, passing yards, and yards per attempt, with what I was told a wash running back behind him. Because I know you remember week one, Derrick Henry,
Yeah.
13 carries, 50 some yards. He was washed. We wasted money. We probably worked over the division, according to a lot of people after week one.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews, had an awful game, and we didn't look good. And now you're going to put Burrow ahead of him because his line is below average. His running back's below average. His defense is below average. What was the Ravens' defense before Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson got thrown out? I mean, what was it? Because we were up 28-3, I think, against the Cowboys, and they almost came back and beat us. I don't know, man. I really don't know.
I don't know either. And that's a really good point that you just made. Like, for the first, half of the season, more than half the season, the Ravens defense was not up to par with what the Ravens defense normally would look like, especially that secondary. But nobody brings that up when it comes to all the help that these guys are getting. But I do want to say, of course, I mean, again, having 2 star wideouts and always playing from behind, yeah, you're going to put up those gaudy numbers, right? But for Lamar Jackson to be able to put up similar numbers to that and not having to pass the ball as much, doing it more efficiently, that is, I mean, the guy had a quarterback rating of 119 last season, Lamar Jackson. It's just, to me, like you said, it may be rage bait. It's peak July content. It is officially list season right now. I understand that wholeheartedly. I do. But I also want to say this because I talked about this on a short video that I posted earlier. I think that the NFL right now, and when we talk about these NFL executives and these scouts and these coaches, a lot of these guys are probably over the age of 45, 50 years old, I would assume, right? These are older guys who, for so many years, their childhood, they did not grow up watching players like Lamar Jackson, right? So I think that they're always going to have their slights towards him. They're always going to have their reservations, I guess you could say, about a Lamar Jackson type of quarterback. One, because we have not seen that type of quarterback win a Super Bowl yet. People might say, oh, Russell Wilson was a scrambling quarterback. Yes, Russell Wilson was more of a scrambler than just a pure athletic freak runner. You know what I mean? When we're talking about pure athletic freaks, we're talking about a Lamar Jackson. We're talking about a Cam Newton. We're talking about a Michael Vick. Those guys didn't win Super Bowls, right? At least not yet. We have not gotten to that yet. If Lamar Jackson wins that Super Bowl, it'll literally have to rewrite the entire story of the NFL and NFL quarterbacks. And I just don't know if NFL executives and coaches and scouts are ready for that conversation just yet. I think they have to see it happen first. They have to see it happen. But until then, they'll continue to slight Lamar Jackson in July.
Yeah, the only way you can really say maybe before Russ was Steve Young in the 90s, because he was a run first, but he could take off and use his legs. I think before, like I said, before Russ, only other quarterback I can think of now. But if Lamar were to win one, I don't want him to be if man. All right, I don't want to him be the new one, but it truly is a different type of quarterback. And like you bring it up, Cunningham didn't do it, Vic didn't do it, Cam Newton got there, didn't do it, and a lot of other quarterbacks kind of were like a flash. Kaepernick didn't do it. Tyrod Taylor, had solid seasons, didn't do it. But now I see Lamar, consistently being there, and he's knocking on the door. And I think if he were to win it, there'd be a lot of GMs scratch their heads and be like, all right, well maybe this is the way we go now. And I kind of think we're seeing it now, with the Jaden Daniels type, but I'm talking more of what we saw with Lamar. You'll draft a guy if he's not going to be the 1-1 your day one starter, but what he has and the traits he possesses. So he's just that one Super Bowl away from really changing the NFL, in my opinion. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah. I see RTV in the chat says, what about Jalen Hurts when talking about quarterbacks who are kind of of that ilk who have actually won a Super Bowl? I wouldn't put Jalen Hurts necessarily on that freak athletic. When I think about quarterbacks like Michael Vick, when I think about quarterbacks like Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, even Jaden Daniels, they are the team. They are the reason. Now, this is no slight to Jalen Hurts because, as you guys know, I'm also a Jalen Hurts guy, and I think he gets way too much disrespect. I think 9 is too low for him. But I don't look at Jalen Hurts as like that freak athlete. I mean, yeah, he can squat 700 pounds and tush push his way into the end zone 9 times out of 10. But I just don't see him as a game changer as much as those other guys that I just listed. And for that, that's where the difference is for me, RTV. If that makes any sense. Any sense?
Yeah, I get that. And now, like I said, I'm looking at this. I don't have a problem with the top two. I think if your three is Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, in any way, I really won't compare it. For me, Jaden Daniels being number 5 as a rookie, that's high praise right there. I mean that the effect he had, impact he had on DC and
Yeah.
that team, hard to argue with it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean. Like game changing type of guys, like a guy who's going to come in and literally just flip the franchise on its feet, not on its head, but like on its feet upright and, actually moving forward again. Like that's the type of player Jaden Daniels is. And that's why I think he deserves to be in that top 5. I don't mind if you bump him down to 6 or maybe 7's a little bit too far for me, but that's like the furthest I'd be willing to let Jaden Daniels go. I still think guys like Matthew Stafford deserve their place, guys like that. But yeah, let me see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Dre says, I wish they would put names on this stuff. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, like with the MVP voting, we know who some guys voted for, and we kind of saw it in the media. Arm punt, Dan Orlovsky, not to name
Yeah.
names. We saw that. Um, but to me, I think when Tom Brady voted for Lamar, that was my sympathy when I'm like, all right, if the GOAT thinks he's MVP, he's MVP in my eyes. But I wish it really would, because some of these, some of the lists here are just diabolical. I think some guys miss out on it who maybe you can make a really good argument should be in the top 10. I think CJ Stroud
Yeah.
makes a good argument. I know he had an off year last year, but still won the division, won a playoff game, beat a quarterback on this list who is pretty high, I'd say, for the quarterbacks. But for me, I think Hurts, I'd have him up from 9 as well.
Yeah. And looking down at the bottom of that list, the very bottom with Baker Mayfield at 10, I mean, I don't want to say it, but like, I'm proud of Baker.
Yeah,
It seems like things really came full circle for him in his career. He's on the up and up. He's found an actual home in Tampa Bay. Like he's playing really well with them. He fits in nicely. So I'm excited to see what the Buccaneers have to offer. But him being on this list doesn't shock me at all. Like you said, Hurts at 9. I think he should be up a little bit further than that. I mean, the guy has a Super Bowl and he's outperformed the number 1 quarterback on that list twice in Super Bowls. So that's that. Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert at 7. The whole Herbert conversation to me is still like it's still up in the air with this kid, right? And it's like it's been up in the air for the past 3 seasons, and that's the thing that's kind of annoying with Justin Herbert because he is we can recognize with our eyes that he is a very talented quarterback, right? But he just still has not been able to get anything done in January. Not let alone get to an AFC championship or anything like that. Like anything. No playoff wins. Goose egg. 0. Zilch. So it's like him being on this list, I don't mind bumping him down a few spots, if I'm being honest with you. Like I said, I mean, again, Jaden Daniels, first year NFC championship game. That's huge. Matthew Stafford, Super Bowl in the last 5 years. That's huge. Then you have Justin Herbert. Like, I don't want to say it's like no, I can't say it's like the clown in the middle of the soldiers. It's not like that. It's not
it's
quite
not.
like that,
Yeah,
but it's similar.
my thing is they lost 32-12 in the playoff game in which they were favored, in which 2 weeks before the same team lost 31-2 at home to the Ravens. And I'm not saying that the Chargers were on our level. I think they were a step or two below, but they gave us a good game. Played them at home in LA. They came out to a lead 7-0. They were beating us. But they were a Lad McConkey just kind of hero ball touchdown from losing 32-6 in a game in which you were favored, in which you just had to guard Nico Collins for the Texans. Tank Dell was out. Diggs was out. The game plan was there, and they just completely shit the bed. Sorry for my language.
Yeah.
And I don't see any anything being talked about it over the offseason. And it's been like that with Justin Herbert. And it kind of is annoying as a Ravens fan because I've seen the Lamar fumble, the Lamar interception more times than I would like to. But I get it. When you're a Super Bowl contender, you're going to be judged differently. But for you to be a top 7 quarterback, hell, Jared Goff has gotten more trash for the Lions meltdown against the Commanders than Herbert has against the Texans.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I think Justin Herbert, and I think Dre, our guy Dre in the chat, might have said this early on in the show. He was saying that one of the NFL executives said that Justin Herbert is the next John Elway. I think when it comes to Justin Herbert, I think these guys that are up top in the NFL, like these execs and all that, they just like certain guys. You know what I mean? Like they want certain guys to be good so bad, and since they can no longer hold on to the Trevor Lawrence, I think that they kind of attach themselves to the Justin Herbert as kind of like their, I guess you could say, like their trust fund kid. Like we hope he does well, you know what I mean? But like we're gonna keep him, around and and highly revered for as long as we can. So you kind of have to take these lists with a grain of salt, to be honest with you, and we all know that, right? But
Yeah.
it's peak July content. Like I said, it is list season, so again, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But with that being said, any last words on this topic, Alex? Anything else you want to say?
You bring up Baker.
Okay.
I'm proud of him. He had a bad rep coming out of college. I mean, not really bad rep. He did it to himself. Was cocky. Was an arrogant college kid. Got humbled real quick in the NFL. He came in, I think, took over. He had the Browns soaring. Got into the playoffs finally. Won a playoff game. Gets, shipped off to the Panthers. Isn't a starter. Goes to the Rams as a backup. Gets thrown in a game. Wins it. Then to fight for a starting job in Tampa and now respected again. I'm happy for him. I really am happy for Baker, and it's cool to see. I like stories like that. And I think wouldn't surprise me if he, is 9, 8, or 7 next year. I think the Buccaneers have set him up to succeed really well in that NFC South.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I definitely agree there. Yeah, it's just going to be interesting because, like I said, again, his career really came full circle. There was a lot of people who thought he was a bust, and now he's, top 10 in the league, and nobody really disagrees with that. I think I saw in there had said, Dre said that he thinks that it's an unpopular opinion, but he thinks Baker should be higher. So we'll see what he does this season. I see we got Tanja Bowman in the house. What's going on, Tanja? Appreciate you for coming through. Let me see. Subway Cookie says in there, Burrow and Chase, the best duo in the league. Higgins can get some double teams off of Chase. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, Burrow, you take one of those guys away. You take Higgins away and replace him with, like a B list, like a true wide receiver too. Because on a lot of teams, T. Higgins could be wide receiver 1.
Yep.
There's teams where he could be 1. So, you don't give him 2 number 1s. We have to see how good those numbers look. But again, I don't want to crap on Burrow too much because, like I said, Burrow is my guy. I think he's an insanely talented quarterback, just not more talented than Lamar Jackson to be rated higher than him going into 2025 after missing the playoffs the last 2 seasons while Lamar Jackson made the playoffs, was just an AFC Championship game, divisional game, MVPs, arguably should have had another MVP last year. It just doesn't make any sense, But I'll leave it there, man. We're going to go ahead and transition into our next topic of the episode. This is episode 320 again of PRP. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new here, we'd appreciate that. But yeah, we got some more business to get to here. So talking about the Ravens here, focusing on us, right? And focusing on the tight ends. It has been reported, right, or rumored, rather, the Ravens have reportedly offered Isaiah Likely a contract extension worth $13 million annually, which would match the deal they gave Mark Andrews. Okay. So that is kind of like the report, the rumor out there. How many years does Likely have left on this deal? This is a contract year, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah. So getting him locked up before this contract, big prove it year where him and Lamar Jackson are going to go crazy, I think it makes a whole lot of sense to do that. But if this is true, Alex, I think that it really speaks to how much the Ravens really not only value Isaiah Likely and his playmaking ability, and his blocking is not bad either. He blows up people on block sometimes, but I think it's also more so speaking to how much the Ravens love their 12 personnel, right? One running back, two tight ends. That has worked so well with with the Ravens ever since they figured out that it was working really well with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely in there. So when you see this, Alex, what do you think that this means that the Ravens are thinking? Yeah, what do you think the Ravens are thinking with this?
Keeping your best talent at home. You know, I'm not saying you can go and draft a guy like Likely because we have a pretty good record of drafting tight ends, but a guy like him and the connection he has with Lamar, it took them, I'd say, a little bit to really have that connection to really, get it going. I know Andrews missed a couple of games his rookie year. Likely stepped in, I think, against the Buccaneers and the Saints. He had some touchdowns, was good. But I think when Andrews went down in 2023, I think Likely kind of showed Lamar, you can trust me. I'm your guy. Like, you throw me the ball, I'll go and get it. I think since then, the Ravens have seen, it'd probably be smart to get this guy locked down. He obviously has great chemistry with their quarterback who's going to be here hopefully for the rest of his career. And off the field as well, they have that good bond. You can see him online always joking around, calling each other unk, always messing with each other. And him and Zay, you keep those guys around that are good morale and even better on the field. So I completely get it. 13 mil, it's a lot, but that cap is rising. And you saw what Pat Frymuth got 50 mil. And now you can argue he might be the second or third best tight end on his team right now. So that's kind of what it's going for tight ends. Prices are raising, but I'm all for it.
Definitely, me too, man. Let me see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Love West chimes in, says my is Likely better not get treated. Well, he better get treated like a tight end one. I don't want to see us forcing Mark Andrews the ball or him getting the back seat, or there's no point to this. And I agree with that too. I think that this is kind of the time to see the changing of the guard when it comes to who's the top tight end in the room, who's tight end number one. Uh, Not to say that what Mark did in the playoffs last year kind of damned him from being that bell cow tight end, if you will, going forward. But I do think that it's time for us to, because we're not going to have two tight ends that we're paying that amount of money. We have to make a decision when it comes to one of them. Obviously, Likely is the much younger player. So I think this is the year, Love West, that you do see Lamar Jackson and Todd Monken and be more intentional about getting Isaiah Likely the ball. Like the target share between Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews, that gap is going to be a lot smaller. I mean, Andrews might still get more targets, but it
Yeah.
won't be by as much as it was last season. I can almost guarantee you that they're gonna find ways to get this man the ball, because when he does get the ball in his hands, I mean, the guy is just as dangerous as anybody. People have often referred to him as a glorified, just big wide receiver, big body wide receiver, because of how he can move after he gets the ball. He's not like just any normal tight end.
Yeah. And nothing I want more than Andrews kind of take a step back time wise and play like his old self, but in the playoffs as well. And I really can't judge him until we are back in the playoffs, until he is throwing a pass and he catches it or makes a big play in the playoffs, because I'm a Mark Andrews truther, Mark Andrews stan, whatever you want to say, but I haven't seen it yet from him. I haven't seen that big play. That 3rd and 7 he catches the ball, and that pains me to say, but we haven't seen it. I've seen Likely have a couple of touchdowns in the playoffs. A touch as time as it, running out in a game where you have to score a touchdown and 2-point conversion. I've seen that from him. So he's earned it, I feel like. Kind of with the running back. Remember in 2012, 2020, Mark Ingram was nowhere near himself. We had Dobbins, who was a rookie, who we saw him break off runs.
Yeah.
Why wasn't he getting, the looks or the carries? Gus Edwards was popping off 10 yards a carry. Why wasn't he getting it? Um, if he, isn't the same Anderson is, you got to give Likely, more targets.
Yeah, we definitely see guys in Baltimore, guys get a lot of loyalty work, right? Like, I mean, guys who the Ravens are kind of dedicated to, they will definitely find ways to get them the ball. And I think the same thing is going to happen with Mark Andrews this upcoming season. I think the Ravens just love him so much. Everybody in that building loves him. So they're going to get him the ball. But there also has to be that understanding. If you're Todd Monken, because he's the one who's drawing up and calling the plays here, you got to understand who you're going to have for the long haul. If you do plan on sticking around with the Ravens, as an offensive coordinator, which I don't know, maybe, I don't know what Todd Monken is thinking in terms of his career, but if you do plan on sticking with the Ravens, Make sure you get this guy likely more involved in the system so he can turn out to be a true star. I think that's where we're at. Let me see. RTV says, y'all rather sign Likely or Zay? To which Justin Lewis replies, Ravens will extend both of them,
Both
which
of them.
yeah, definitely both of them. Definitely both of them, for sure.
Yeah, I asked to talk after Garrett Wilson got his contract today, but no disrespect. I love Zay Flowers, the first Pro Bowl receiver. I don't think he'll be getting 32 million a year. Not trying to be that armchair GM. Uh, I just don't think it'll happen. I don't think the Ravens have that money to spend on him. What I mean, the Jets are paying Justin Fields not big money compared to what we're paying. Um, I can't see it happening where he gets 32. I mean, maybe 20 a year we can get him done, but if he's there for that, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. I agree there. I mean, Zay Flowers would have to have literally like a crazy season. Like
1350, 1400 yards.
yeah,
That's the whole
easily.
way.
Easily, for sure. For him to command, money that would price him out of Baltimore. But there's just so many weapons in Baltimore. I just don't think that, not to say he's not going to have the opportunities, but he's not going to have the opportunities. We're a run first
Yeah.
team. We've got so many other weapons. Yes, you are a wide receiver one, but we just got done talking about Isaiah Likely. We just got done talking about Mark Andrews getting those loyalty targets. We just talked about, there's other guys. D Hop is in the fold now. Rashad Bateman is primed to have another breakout year. He just got extended. So it's like we're going to be trying to get the ball. We're going to be trying to get the ball everywhere. Not to mention Lamar Jackson taking off and running with himself on certain plays, but yeah, he would have to have an astronomical season statistically in order for him to command that type of money. For sure.
Yeah, and I'm actually really liking the prospect of Charlie Kolar as well. I know we don't talk about him that much, but I feel like blocking wise, when he went down, man, when Derrick Henry broke his arm, I think, unfortunately, friendly fire, you could kind of tell it was hard for us to replicate his blocking. And getting him back, and even passing wise, like he's like that weird hipster, like hippie guy. Carlar is, like you just forget about him. And I think about against the Bengals, he goes up the seam, they forget about him. The Cowboys game, they forget
Yeah.
about him, and on the drag route, like it's just stuff like that. He's that guy where he'll have like one catch for like 40 yards. It's a big catch. So I'm looking forward to see, what Tom Mike can do. He has like a good problem right now. It's a good headache. How am I going to get the ball around to so many guys? But you bring up Zay. I mean, if I had to cap out what I think his, the ceiling is for him, I'm going to go like 1150 maybe. But I need more
Mm.
big plays. And I want to see, him get closer to 10 double digit touchdowns. I think it's the one thing he's lacking in his game is more touchdowns.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Dre in the chat says I can see Zay hitting 1,200 yards, and that's honestly a lot for an offense like this. So he's right there with you, pretty much only 50 yards off. Zay Flowers did mention that he was going to start running straight more often. We talked about that on one of our more recent episodes, and with that being said, if he can start to utilize some of that straight line speed and eat up a lot of grass going north and not east to west, he could hit at 1,200. You know what I mean? And if early on in the season he shows that he has hit another gear, I think that Todd Monken will make it. He'll shift the offensive game plan to get Zay Flowers more touches, which I think will be great for Zay Flowers. I think it'll be great for the offense as well. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, I mean, as us being Ravens fans, all we can do is hope that Zay Flowers gets 1,200 yards receiving. That'd be awesome. That'd be absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
And no passes behind the line of scrimmage, please. Todd, thank you.
Right. That's not the way. That is not the way. Let me see here. Lisa Ann in the chat says, "What about Justice Hill?" Yes, he's also
Yeah.
another weapon. Also another guy who is kind of like just an unsung, forgotten hero. Like you mentioned with Charlie Kolar, right? Guys forget about him. Guys forget about Justice Hill. Leaking out of the backfield. We saw it against the Steelers in the playoffs. Completely forgot about him. He started off blocking. He leaks out, saves Lamar Jackson as he buys time, and there you go. Justice Hill is right there. And when Justice Hill gets the ball in his hands, he's really good with the ball. You know what I mean? Like he's just such a dude. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's great. He's great, man.
He's a cult hero. I feel like every team has that guy. I think Justice Hill is that guy on offense. On defense, I don't really know who that guy is, but he's just that guy. Like he rarely makes a mistake. I think the only mistake you can say he made last year was when Peyton Wilson like snagged the ball from. I still don't even know if that was an interception. I thought he was down, but he cleared up his fumbling issues, which he had years prior. that was a big knock on him. He cleaned that up. Lamar would check the ball down to him, and it got to the point where if you give him, like I said, a little bit of space, he's going to take off and run with it. The Charger game, he just broke a 55-yarder out of nowhere. I don't think any of us were expecting that. And then the game against the Giants, just wide open in the flat, and just takes it 30, 45 yards for a touchdown. It plays like that where it's good to have those guys on the team. And to keep on going, we'll have Keaton Mitchell, who's healthy, which is another good problem to have because he can come in on any down, and you don't know what we're going to do with him.
Yeah, man. I mean, the possibilities are really endless when it comes to the Ravens offense. So, and I know we started off this conversation talking about Isaiah Likely and his possible contract extension, but he is as good as he is. I think with every point we just made, it's clear that he is just a microcosm of what we've got going on here offensively, and that's huge for the Ravens. I think that it'll really bode well for them come regular season time, and even in the playoffs. I think that, not to say that like, oh, this is the year or anything like that, but I think that this year is the year where, I mean, you've got every piece you need on offense, and I know we're not talking about defense right now, but you've got pretty much every piece that you need on defense as well, minus a few question marks that we still have offensive line. We got to see how that all shakes out, things like that. But for the most part, the Ravens have a lot of good problems to have, and we really do hope that they extend both Isaiah Likely and Zay Flowers. I think it actually speaks to how much they want to re-sign Zay Flowers with the way that they're handling Isaiah Likely. They're like, okay, let's just go ahead and get you out of the way because we know Zay Flowers is coming down the pipeline, so we're gonna lock you down with $13 million for X amount of years, and that will have more wiggle room by the time it's time for Zay. Because if they let Isaiah Likely go unextended before the season starts, and he absolutely balls out, that's just more salary cap problems. But we'll go ahead and we'll leave that there unless you got one more thing for me, Alex.
I'm trying to think of a guy on defense who can kind of be the Justice Hill. Only thing I got in my mind is Ardarius Washington, like a guy who not other teams know, doesn't really make mistakes. And I know he got thrown into the fire as the starter last year, but that's the only guy I can compare you about. Like, he's not going to be the guy highlighted, I feel like, by the broadcast, but he'll make a play or two about every game and like, oh, there's that guy again. You just keep, when you watch the Ravens more and more, you see him makes plays. That's the only comparison I can really think of.
Yeah. For me, yeah, I mean, Ardarius, that's a really good point. That's a really good point, Alex. I didn't even think about it like that. How frequently those guys make plays. It kind of seems like the frequency is similar as well. Like
RTV, Travis Jones, that's a good one. Doesn't show up on the stat sheet at
Jones,
all, but he does eat up a lot of blocks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You can also throw Travis Jones in there as well. I mean, it's just with how those positions are played, it doesn't show up on the stat sheet. And it really doesn't even show up on TV a lot of the time.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like you're not really when most casual football fans are watching the game of football, they're watching the ball, right? They're watching the quarterback. If the defensive line happens to push the offensive line into the quarterback's lap, you'll see it when it happens, right? Most people don't necessarily watch the offensive line. Me personally, I watch the ball and I watch the line out of like my peripherals. You know what I mean? Like, so I can kind of, yeah, that's what I do. But after the fact, I'll go and I'll watch some of the film to kind of see who was blocking well, who wasn't. But yeah, all right, let's go ahead and let's move on to our next topic. So this one is going to be about a fellow AFC North a rival, Jamar Chase from the Cincinnati Bengals. We just got done talking about his quarterback, Joe Burrow, and how he is so blessed and highly favored to have a Jamar Chase as well as a T. Higgins on his team. And Jamar Chase was on a podcast recently kind of breaking down some of the hardest DBs in the league to kind of get by. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and toss it over to Mr. Chase.
Corners in the league.
I gotta put Denzel on there. I don't really play, too many on the other side. Besides the AFC. Joey Porter pretty smooth. He's just long. I ain't played too many people, and I don't want, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's gonna be fun going against Ramsey and Darius Slay. I had an opportunity to go against them this last year, and you know what I'm saying? Him my rookie year. That's 4. I'm gonna go with 4.
4?
Derek Stingley. I'll put Sting in there.
Sting. Okay. Yeah, you guys have some good battles.
I'm about to say, I'll put Sting in there. That's my dog.
No Ravens. Interesting. I like it. Bulletin board material. Interesting guys he put up there. Stingley, obviously LSU connection, but was Denzel Ward, I believe. I mean, you can't really argue with him. Great cornerback,
Yeah,
but
yeah, and I think the biggest reason you can't argue with him is because of how much he's torched the Ravens over the
yeah,
years. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like that
I
biggest
expect the
thing as a
Ravens.
Raven. Yeah, I can't even be mad at him. I can't even be mad at him. You know, I haven't necessarily gone back and watched his matchups with, guys like Stingley, and what's his name? Denzel Ward, like he had mentioned, guys like Pat Surtain. I haven't seen him go up against guys like that, and he actually didn't mention Pat Surtain in that video. But did you see the video with him talking to Ocho Cinco about Pat Surtain and how they were really just kind of talking about how hard it is to get by him because of
Yeah,
how long he is and how quick he is? That was funny.
man. It, like I said, I wasn't expecting Marlon Humphrey to be on there, which is fine. Because I think he got probably a quarter of his yards against us last year. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
much
it
it
was
pains me
bad.
to say it, and he put up like 200 and someone else that Thursday night game.
Yeah,
So interesting to see. Him putting Joey Porter is actually interesting to me because I wouldn't put him top 5 DBs, but hearing Jamarr Chase say that is definitely interesting. I'll have to keep my eye on him more and watch him more um, playing defensive back.
yeah. RTV says in the chat, Jamar Chase versus Jair Alexander is going to be must see TV.
Is
What do you say to
is
that?
Oh, it is. I mean, I have the Vikings game scheduled. Jair against Justin Jefferson again. That's going to
Yeah.
be cinema right there. I cannot wait for that, especially Marlon Humphrey, the way he talks on the field. I know he's a trash talker. Um, Kyle Hamilton, he can run his mouth. I'm looking forward to a lot of our matchups, just mainly our secondary guys receiving cores.
Well, I mean, so how about this? I mean, do you think that it's possible? Because we know Jamar Chase normally would line up on that left side of Joe Burrow, right? Out wide. Do you think it's possible, and we know Jair plays on that side, Nate Wiggins normally would play on the other side. Do you think it's possible that the Ravens and Zach Orr switch that side of the field so Nate Wiggins can guard a Jamar Chase? Because as we know, Nate Wiggins is a speed demon, and Jamar Chase is as well. We've seen Jamar Chase hit multiple gears against us and really take off. So if Nate Wiggins kind of proves to be a really sticky cornerback early in year 2, I could definitely see by the time we get around to playing the Bengals, which I can't remember exactly which week it is, our first Bengals matchup, we might be able to see Nate Wiggins versus Jamar Chase.
We might, and that's a big test for the second year corner. I know we did pretty good against him that Thursday night game, locked them up
Yeah.
on a play, and then Chase had a touchdown you that could have tied the game, but they went for 2. I think that was over him and Ardarius. I'm looking forward to see Nate Wiggins. I mean, I kind of look at the build Chase has and think it might be a mismatch, but I'm not gonna discredit Nasty Nate. I'm not.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. He had about 4 or 5 picks. He dropped a couple of them last year, but that could have been defensive rookie of the year right there if he picks them off. So I think they will move him around. And I do want to bring up Dre says the way Chase cooked us last season, I'm not mad at that take. One thing I can say, Mike McDonald defenses have Burrow and Chase on lock. Man, I mean, 2022, even when we had Lamar go down, they really weren't cooking us. But
Right.
23, that home game and the away game, Chase did virtually nothing. Mike
Yeah.
McDonald, I still have to tip my hat to you. That was an unbelievable defensive masterclass.
Shout out Brandon Stevens, right?
Oh man, 2023 Brandon Stevens will have to be studied, and the drop off that
Yes.
was unbelievable.
Absolutely. But yeah, man, I mean, getting back to Jamar Chase's list, he mentions how he can't wait to play against Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey in Pittsburgh. That should be, an interesting matchup. I can't wait to see the first time they square off against each other. I mean, you got, I don't want to say, you got 2 top wide receivers versus 2 really good cornerbacks. It's gonna be a very, very, very good, interesting matchup. So I can't wait to see that. But yeah, let me see. Wes here in the chat says, who do you want to have the biggest breakout season? Mike Green, Malachi Starks, or Nate Wiggins? Me, I want Green. You know what, man? I think I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. If we can, solidify ourselves as being one of those teams that has like a premier pass rusher in the NFL, oh, it's off to the races. And by, off to the races, I mean the destination is a Super Bowl. What do you think?
If he gets me 7.5, 8 sacks, which I think is breakout for a second round pick, I think that's fair. I'm very happy. I'd rather take them over maybe 2 or 3 picks from Starks, because that kind of, I know that the pass rush is getting home. I know he's getting home. It's something to really just build after, and I definitely think that's the only answer. I think, as much as I would love to see Wiggins get a bunch of picks, or I think Green being able to get home, that just opens up those picks for the other guys. 100% Mike Green.
Yeah, and with guys that we're gonna have in coverage, Mike Green should have a really good opportunity, because guys are gonna be back there patting the ball. Because who do you pick on in this Ravens secondary right now? Who do you pick on? I mean, we talked about it a couple episodes ago. Like, are they gonna try to test the middle of the field, test the Roquans and Trenton Simpsons of the world, and see how they can cover the middle of the field, or will Kyle Hamilton be playing down low in the box? We don't know yet. But again, man, I think that with this Ravens DB room, our pass rushers, so not even just Mike Green. I hope he does pop, but I think that the Ravens, of course, will have the training wheels on him. I don't think Mike Green is signed yet, right?
No.
Right. 30 out of the 32 second-round picks have not signed their contracts, which is totally unprecedented. So, with that being said, and Mike Green being one of those guys, with the fact that he had some controversy before he got to the league. Not to say that he's going to be in Harbaugh's doghouse, but I think that he's going to have some massive training wheels, right? He's going to have some massive training wheels hitched to his wagon or his bike, or whatever you want to call it. And they're going to slow roll this guy. They're going to slow roll this guy. Like, you made us wait, we're going to make you wait. You know what I mean? I think that that's the way that the Ravens are going to handle it. So don't expect to see too much Mike Green early on in the season. I only say that because he still has not signed, on top of some of the rumors and whatnot that were floating around before and after he got drafted. So that's where I stand with that. But I do still want Green to be the breakout player. I'm not going to lie to you, because that's an edge rusher. We need that.
Yeah, that would be big. I guess to our final topic of the day.
Yeah.
Fox Sports canceling a bunch of shows. A lot of analysts now will not be on TV. Joy Taylor, TJ Hushmanzada, Emmanuel Acho.
Yeah.
That's
Shady McCoy. Yeah, man.
James Jones.
James Jones. Yeah. What's the other guy named Chase Daniel? Right.
Chase Daniel.
Yeah.
I'll miss them for the fact that gave me a lot of good soundbite clips using videos. Oh, I loved it. I think Shady McCoy, I'm not really fooled by him, because he was a big Lamar doubter, and you flipping it up, saying a good thing every once in a while isn't going to change my mind. I know deep down, he's not the biggest Lamar fan. Chase Daniel did have his back quarterback wise, but Emmanuel Acho, good riddance. Good riddance. That guy. I mean,
yeah.
Freezing cold takes. Freezing cold. Will not miss him.
Yeah, I mean, Emmanuel Acho, for me, he was just so, I feel like his energy was very contrived and forced on the show. He loved to talk about and reference how he was an ex-NFL player, and how the rest of the cast were ex-NFL players. Literally in every single segment, he would be like, "Oh yeah, I played for the Eagles," and Shady, "You played for the Eagles," and then James, "You played for the Packers for X amount of years." And I was just like, "Bro, just get to the ball talk, man. Take all the fluff." He had a lot of fluff around his takes, and a lot of those takes were freezing cold as well. So putting fluff around a freezing cold take, it just makes you look like an asshole a lot of the time. And I think that's how Emmanuel Acho looked to a lot of people. I didn't hate the guy necessarily myself, but I could definitely see how, people didn't really like his analyst style, right? And they kind of had him as the foreman on the facility and most of the shows that he was on. But, and like Dre says here, never like to see anybody lose their job. Hope he figures out something else, and all those other people at FS1, they figure it out. But what else was I going to say? I think that with them retaining First Things First, with Nick Wright and Chris Broussard and Kevin Wildes, that says a lot. That says a lot about how well that show is doing. And I think what they're doing by getting rid of shows like The Facility and Speak on FS1 is they're kind of trimming the fat a little bit, especially going into this next NFL season. I do fully expect them to roll out another show, because they got to fill up, airtime somehow, some way. But now I think only there is First Things First and the Herd, right? What else is really there?
Nothing really. I don't really keep up with all of them. I know First Things First does numbers on YouTube. I think that's the only way it's kept. I think every clip I see there's man has like over like 250,000 views. I'm like, I didn't know it was like that. Especially during the season that Mahomes Mountain, it's about 500K minimum every single video. It does
Yeah,
really well, and that has to be a big reason why they're keeping it. As for this, they would get solid views, I think, but the whole Joy Taylor scandal really didn't help it out either.
true.
And the comments they were getting with Acho, so
And there's
they'll
also
land somewhere.
Keyshawn Johnson and Paul Pierce were also on Speak with Joy Taylor, and I'm glad that they're out of there, to be honest with you,
Yeah,
because I mean Paul Pierce especially, that guy had no clue about anything football related. He has no clue about anything football related. This guy, he's great for basketball talk. When it comes to football, man, I just never wanted to hear him speak. It's bad.
yeah, that wasn't good, and that's how I felt with Nick Wright talking about soccer.
I saw
That
you say
actually,
something about that.
yeah, like it was just really like the most approved, and he put like Messi, like bro, Messi has nothing to prove in this World Cup. I don't know if he came up with that or if somebody else came up with that, but there's certain people cannot be talking about certain sports, and that's kind of I guess you felt about Pierce how I felt about Nick Wright talking about that.
Yeah. And shout out to Nick Wright. He does have some freezing cold takes himself, but like you said, the segments with the Mahomes Mountain things and all that, they got it really going
Broussard
on.
with the
And
Ravens, it's
Broussard
just
is always riding with the Ravens. We love that. Kevin Wildes is just Kevin Wildes. I don't know. I mean, that guy is
facilitator.
just he's just kind of a facilitator, and he's, I don't know, a little bit eccentric and goofy in a way too. So I think their dynamic chemistry works really well. Now I do expect, again, them to start up another show. Now with who, I have no idea who they're talking contracts with and whatnot right now, but I would like to see, I don't know, I would like to see maybe like an around the horn theme or
Oh,
style show come back. If they could pull something off like that, that would be awesome. Like give us something fresh, give us something new. Don't just give us like a panel of 3 or 4 or 5 people from respective sports or and whatnot, and just kind of have them talk. Like these guys, not everybody gels, right? Like
yeah,
it doesn't really work with every group.
that's a good point. I like that, and like shows like Pardon the Eruption, I think is a goated show. Love that
Yeah,
show. Um,
yeah.
what happened to Max Kellerman? Since we're talking about these guys,
Oh my goodness,
he
man.
got
They
black.
need to,
He got
bro, they need to hire Max Kellerman.
I
I don't
liked him.
know. I loved him. I love me some Max Kellerman, man. And I know he is out there looking for work. If Fox called him up right now, I feel like he would jump at the opportunity, and they need to be calling him up and saying like, hey, like, let's bring you in. And then, I don't know, we'll bring in, I don't know. They'll bring in somebody, some ex NFL player or NBA player or something like that. But like, hopefully it's NFL. It's probably gonna be NFL because NFL is a more popular sport, in media and sports media. But that would be awesome. That would be
Yeah,
awesome, man. Get Max Kellerman on the phone. That guy always had the logical takes. Of course, he had a couple freezing cold takes as well, but they were iconic. He had some iconic one-liners. I'll take you, Gudala. You know what I mean? Like the guy was great. The guy was great.
and that's the thing. Like he could get you a good clip every once in a while to go viral, and that's kind of a reaction meme. They were always great to have, and that's kind of why I think Stephen A is around still. I mean, he's great for the internet, he's great
Yeah,
for TV, and he makes you a lot of money. So
yeah.
I mean, I think I want to see him back. I do miss him. He was really good. He could talk. I think what wasn't his like sport was combat sports. I think right. He was really
Boxing.
good
Yeah,
with yeah.
he's
So
really really good with boxing. He actually just he still does. He still covers boxing to this day.
oh
And
really?
whenever you listen to him talk, yeah, whenever you listen to him talk about boxing, he's just such a pro. Like he's official, bro. Like he knows everything. He, even if you don't watch boxing, if you listen to Max Kellerman talk about boxing, it'll make you be interested in watching the sport. That's what it is for me. Jeremiah W says great is a stretch when it comes to Max Kellerman. A little bit maybe like nostalgia from First Take back in the day, but no man, no man. Like to me, Max Kellerman, he did not deserve to get booted off TV, and maybe he's being blackballed. I don't know, but yeah, get him on the phone.
RTV says he's probably still under contract at ESPN. They're probably just paying him to stay home. That could be it, and he just can't go
But
anywhere else. That's
why?
a good point. Yeah, Stephen
Why
A.
though?
Man, he runs it. He runs it.
I mean, but Does he though? I mean, Disney runs ESPN.
Yeah.
It's like, are we really like keeping a guy on the books just to like not do anything? Like, it's just, I don't get that, man.
I'll tell you
I don't
this.
get that.
I don't like Mad Dog. I think it's.
Yeah.
I think his some of his takes are like very like, get off my lawn ish.
Yeah.
I'm
But
not.
that's
I'm
what they
not.
bring him there for, you know?
Yeah, I'm just not the biggest fan of him. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not either. When he used to talk about, or he'll still say it to this day, like, "Oh, Lamar Jackson is putrid in the playoffs" and things like that. Like, he'll still spew those same takes. But I think that they bring him in. He's definitely what they call a personality hire, and they brought him in just for that exact reason that you just said. Like, I mean, he definitely is. Like, he's the get off my lawn, old man. You know, like
Yeah.
people want to see that, and yeah, so. Let me see. Tanja says, I would like to see some analysts, not that fake content. What happened to the real shows with real
Listen.
content?
If I'm talking about real content, I'm gonna throw it back. NFL Network, Rich Eisen, Deion Sanders, Michael Irvin. That right there, like they had fun. There was no bias. It was just ball talk. That was Steve Mariucci. Like when I'm watching a pregame show, I like the NFL Game Day with Eisen, Steve Mariucci, Kurt Warner, guys on NFL Network. That's my go-to. I don't think there any of that just like agenda type stuff. I think it's just straight ball. Get back to that. Unfortunately, if we're going to tune in on something, it's going to be ESPN, CBS, Fox. It's not going to be NFL Network. But man, that's my go-to right there.
I think that leads to a pretty interesting question. I want to get your answer, your take on this, and the rest of the chat as well. Like we said, it's list season, right? I want to get top three, and the three are top three. Let me just say this: top three pregame shows, right? You mentioned NFL Network, NFL Game Day. You've got CBS NFL in the morning, right? And then you've also got Fox Sports pregame.
Yeah.
Like out of those three, how do you rank them 1, 2, and 3?
Fox is 3 for me.
Is it because Fox like mainly covers NFC?
It's not. I like Strahan. I like Howie Long. Like the only thing I'm tuning into for is the Jay Glazer exclusive. You know what I mean? That's kind of the only thing I'm tuning in for. I think CBS 2, NFL Network 1. I just really like NFL Network. I like what they do. CBS, I think Nate Burleson has been a great hire for them. I think for me, like my goated like NFL like just sports show was Good Morning Football with him, Kay, Peter, and Kyle. Like that was one of the best shows I think, and the fact that like most of them got taken away because how good they performed says a lot. Like Kay is now leading at FanDuel, Nate's doing everything at CBS, Peter's now on ESPN, and Kyle's still holding it down. But yeah, NFL Network, CBS, and Fox for me.
And I can get behind that for sure. For me, it's weird you say that. Honestly, most of my pregame nowadays is spent on Twitter on my phone. I'm just kind of like scrolling, looking for updates and all the speculation before the game and all that. But I'll have it in the background. And I grew up watching Fox, right? Like my dad was a Commanders, formerly Redskins fan. And I spent every Sunday morning before 1 p.m. watching those guys on Fox. And I really used to like when they had like Frank Caliendo come in and do like his little skits or whatever. Those were absolutely hilarious. CBS always felt a little bit cut and dry to me. But NFL Network, man, it's just kind of very well-rounded, and that's why I like it a lot. So if I had to rank them, I would go NFL Network 1, CBS and Fox 3, just like you, man, because CBS is kind of like the home of the AFC talk. And if I want to hear them talk about the Ravens before the Ravens play, it's more likely I'm going to hear it over there at CBS as opposed to Fox, even though Fox has that kind of nostalgic feeling for me. And then, like you said, NFL Network just kind of rounds it all out. I really like the format of how NFL Network kind of displays their information and whatnot, how they have their graphics on screen. It just feels official NFL, you know what I mean? Because they shows like that all throughout the week, like NFL. What is it? NFL Red Zone, or what do they call it? The show that they run during the week. You know what I mean?
Oh, Insiders.
Something like that. I think. Yeah, I think that's what it is. But it's just they have a very consistent, clean, official look. It just reminds me, and it feels NFL. So yeah.
I'll tell you this, I was on NFL Plus yesterday, just getting some clips for stuff, and they already have NFL Red Zone early, late. late slate. It's already set up. You can already see what games are going to be the 1 o'clock, the 4:25s. I got goosebumps. I'm not gonna lie. Already for that first Red Zone, I'll be watching Red Zone come week 1 because Ravens won't be playing till Sunday night. Have it fired up. Have some wings ready.
Wait a minute, Alex. Wait a minute. Are you actually excited for the NFL season now? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm excited for the aesthetic part of it. I'm not gonna lie. I am. September is, I think, the best month out of all 12 months. You can argue with the wall. You get every sport playing. You got college football, you got NFL starting, and it's warm out still here in Maryland. So that's what I'm looking forward to in September. Not gonna lie.
Absolutely, man. And September may seem pretty far away, but listen, guys, between now and then, there's going to be lots of things to talk about. So make sure you stay locked into the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, because guess what? Training camp starts this week for the Ravens? This week, right?
I think it is, or maybe early next week. One of the two.
Yeah, it's either this week or early next week. It's coming very, very, very soon. So make sure you stay locked into the PRP YouTube channel. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well, as we're about to go ahead and get out of here and wrap the show. Like my guy Alex started the show with, you can go on Manscaped and use our code PRP to get yourself 20% off anything you want on the site. So make sure you take advantage of that. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. Just put a new video out there today. And then, of course, again, subscribe to the YouTube at the Purple Rain Podcast. You can follow this guy on Twitter at SimplyAS10, on Instagram at SimplyAS10.prod. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at SuttonDef, like you see right here. Dre says, before we get out of here, LOL, we need those highlights simply. Yeah, man. He's about to get real busy real soon, guys.
I am. Yeah. Very busy already.
Yeah, but I say so. Make sure you stay locked into his channel as well over at SimplyAS10. Make sure you follow him on TikTok, because I'll be looking forward to those videos. And this is just me kind of talking inadvertently directly to you, Alex, because you know I want those TikTok videos. I live for them during the season and even in the off season too. Yeah, the mic'd ups. I love them. Great. I love them. They are great. And all of you guys are great as well. So big shout out to all of the people in the Rain Gang watching the show. If you're still watching live right now, we love you. Thank you so much. And with that being said, I'm gonna let my guy Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through to this little late at night episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. We appreciate you. We love you for coming out. Thank you. And as always, stay positive and test freaking negative.
Yes, and never, ever forget, even on the rainiest days, to call God. This is episode 320 of PRP. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.